Gemini, Luna here with the Artisan Tarot. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what I'm doing right. Only way I'm going to know is if you like the video. Anyway, I'm actually changing things up for this month because Mercury likes to mess with me. He messes with everybody, but I'm a little bit different in terms of how he messes with me. It has to do with my Mercury placement, but he likes to mess with me when it comes to business real bad. So I'm trying to kind of break the cycle here and go out of my norm. So you will not just be getting one reading today. You will get 3 different decks compiled into one 30-minute reading. I will pull cards for each week of the retrograde. Then I'm going to pull cards on how the other totems are going to help you. So it's going to be a long one. Go get your tea, go get your water. Pause the video, come back, go do what you got to do, and then watch the video. Now, if you're still here, just wanted to let you know, I already have your signs, zodiac, rites, ritual, spell work, incantations, and castings that are probably going to help you guys during the retrograde already done from messages from Mother Isis as well through the Isis Oracle only on my Patreon. That link is down in the description box below. Then I have the Lens Writer Libra reading. I haven't done the Scorpio one yet. I'm going to do this after I do all of the signs for this next project. But it will be posted by May. It will be posted ideally by the 1st of May. So don't worry about that. I'm going to have it done. Go ahead and watch the Full Moon in Libra reading because that reading is going to go into the Full Moon in Scorpio reading also on Patreon. It's $35 for that tier. So you can get access to both. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and go in to the reading. So I'm actually doing something out of my norm, but I feel called to do. So Gemini, we're going to use my Dragon Oracle, my Dragonfae Oracle, and the Fairy Blessing cards, right? So I just felt like it was time to bring out my dragon totem. I've been working with dragons for several years now. As my practice has developed. The Fae too. I worked with the Fae longer than the dragons, but the dragons are just as wise. If actually they're less rash sometimes than the Fae. But both have wisdom and prophetic abilities in their own rights and ways. Now, this dragon deck is more about insights, wisdoms, and ascension. So if that is what you're looking for on how to work through Mercury retrograde, what's going to come through, and also the dragon energies you can invoke to help you, here you go. So show me, please, my beautiful dragons. Show me for Gemini what is coming through for Gemini. Okay, I'm going to take them this way. Did they pull 3? Oh, wow, they did. Okay. Normally, I'd take them neutral, but since they didn't come up right, something's telling me to take them just as they are this way. So hang on just a second here while I go ahead and shift things around for you. Show me my beautiful Dragonfae. One more. Okay, this one came up definitely neutral. I'll keep that in mind. Now, this actually has to do with the past because this is the past position for me. So this is something that is leading in from your past into your future. Okay, so that card is actually the white golden dragon from Lyra, sorry. Connects you to the highest. Okay, so here's the thing about this. This has to, sometimes this reader based it on like Christ consciousness. I don't necessarily see that in my practice as far as like who I practice with, but if you work with other religions and there's like a Christ figure that is popping up, you can associate with that. Now, this talks about developing your casual chakra. Bathe in the 9th dimensional light. Now, 9th dimension, usually, for me, 9 is always a number of karma. But since this is based on, like, this dragon and this author did Christian ideology, I would say use, like I said, use the energy in your spiritual practice that kind of, like, takes that Piscean compassion energy that Christ kind of exhibited and use it towards getting into the 9th realm. Now, since I said 9s are about karma, I want you to look and see where you've cleansed your karma and where you can bring this light through to help you, Gemini, as well as this dragon. You can ask and evoke any of these energies that I'm going to pull to help you, but this is what's coming through as we head into Mercury retrograde. So this is like going to be week 1 of Mercury retrograde. Here's week 2. Ooh, orange dragon, 3. Oh, nice. And you got another Christ-like consciousness dragon. Okay, Gemini, I don't know what the hell's going on. And let me do this. What the heaven is going on. But good for you. You're getting to this level of ascension where you're opening yourself up to light and light being and light ascension. So good for you. For those of you who are doing that. For those of you who aren't, and you're kind of like, well, I don't know how to get there. Hear me out. We're going to get there. But again, if you don't identify with Christ consciousness, that is okay. Just go with that Piscean aspect instead. Because that's really what we're aiming for when it comes to ascension anyway. I feel like this author, they're more comfortable with that. Me being a pagan, not so. But I am comfortable with the themes and totems of Pisces. So that's why I suggest taking the Pisces totem. Now, if you do another astrology wheel and you find one that mirrors Pisces, take that route. What is more comfortable to you is going to help make this reading make a little bit more sense. So keep that in mind. But like I said, you can ask and invoke these dragons to come in. Even though they are, the reader put Christ, you don't have to use them for that. You can just say, you know, I ask and invoke you to help me get closer to this Piscean mindset of spirit and connected spirituality, okay? So there's that. Now, the next week 2, because this is going to affect your week 2. We've got the orange dragon. Bring soul families and communities together. Spread belonging, warmth, and oneness. Bring people everywhere together. It's quite interesting. You can ask and invoke this dragon to help bring, if you're looking for your soul tribe, this would be a good idea to ask and invoke this dragon to help you bring them in. Because it said soul family. So a lot of people don't know about soul contracts. So they just assume soul contracts and soulmates and all of that are the same thing. Well, you also have soul family. Then you have your karmic family. Because sometimes your karmic family, the people you're born to, are not a part of your soul family. They're just a part of your karmic contract. Okay? So soul family are people who recognize you for your soul and love you for that unconditionally. There's ideally, or sometimes they're called soul tribe. Sometimes they're called, soul mates. Because soulmates don't just deal with romantic love. They can be a best friend. They can be a companion. They could be a familiar. You see where I'm going with this. But soul family, this is very important, Gemini. I mean, to me, it makes sense. Your second house is Cancer, which deals with family and groups. That's where you find your comfort and security. Currently, it's not active, but the whole back half of your chart, super active. You've got Taurus where the retrograde is and your endings and new beginnings, which is why this is coming through. This is trying to get you to see the higher aspect and or perspective from the higher realms of what the retrograde is trying to do instead of stressing you out, taking a time and taking a brief pause to work it out, which Gemini, you guys kind of do that later. I've never seen a Gemini not act first and ask questions later. It's always act first, then ask questions later. This is a time right now with Mercury retrograde in Taurus. Uranus is in there, Mars is in there, and you got to start asking the questions, the real questions, not the placid questions, not the 3D questions, because Pluto is in Capricorn. He's going retrograde too. He doesn't give a shit, I'm going to be honest, about the questions that are mundane, because he's already reviewed everything 6 months prior. All right? And I say it that way because I want y'all to understand this isn't about playing games. I know the air signs, y'all love games. This is not going to be a game. This is a challenge, and you have to rise to meet that this month. And I can't even believe I'm having this talk with you, Gemini. I feel like you get it, but you're only really going to get it once you live through it. And when I say you have to rise to the challenge, this isn't just I think I can do it. No. This is going to test your will and tenacity. And I say that because Pluto going retrograde in Capricorn is basically going to start taking everything that doesn't work for us. And I'm also talking natal progression here, not natal chart. So if you know where your natal Pluto is, or you know where Capricorn lies in your chart, this is going to be pivotal. On top of that, like I said, join me for the full moon reading, because the full moon reading will also affect you. And how it's going to affect you is usually for you, it's like your 6th house of luck with Scorpio. And that Scorpio full moon is going to be lit. Emotions are going to run high. And because Pluto rules Scorpio, and Capricorn and Scorpio get along very well. They're earth signs. They mirror each other. One mirrors water. The other one mirrors 3D material items. Pluto is going to be stronger and make that moon even stronger. Honestly, I've never seen Pluto in an earth sign where it wasn't amplified, but this month it is. And so I'm telling everybody, because I want them to understand the theme that Scorpio is trying to bring. It may feel like your 6th house is not doing so hot in the beginning, because you also have its partnership house, your house of endings and new beginnings, currently going through a reckoning with communications, with 3D communications about 3D matters. And that's why I said Pluto's not going to give a shit about that, because he's already reviewed. So this is about learning now as we go through this retrograde, bringing in what you need, getting to the real, okay, what is it you want? I want this. Because Scorpio is a house of I desire. And it kind of, if you've ever seen Lucifer, you know, the TV show, the series on Netflix, he says, you know, what is it you desire, Tom Ellis? He actually does embody the 8th house of Scorpio, very much so. But he's able to get the real truth out of someone using his angelic kind of powerful powerness, okay? His ability. And, you know, a lot of people think he's intuitive, and he's like, I'm not a Jedi. He thinks psychics are Jedis, which I thought was funny the way they wrote it on the show. That gave me a good laugh. But the thing is he's able to get to people's truest desire, the thing they crave the most. And normally during retrogrades, I tell people, if you want to bring something in new, wait till after the retrograde. But I feel like for you, Gemini, because that retrograde is going to go through as we move through your birthday, then it'll go post-shadow. You need to invoke it now before May 3rd, because once you do that, then you can kind of hack the astrology. And as you do that, you can say, oh, no, I called that in before the retrograde. So now I'm working on it and reviewing it, okay? I am reviewing these soul ties, these relationships. And it essentially kind of takes that energy that Mercury does, where he makes us sit and think, and it's like, oh, they're actually sitting and thinking and reviewing it now. Okay, I'm not going to bother them. That's how best to kind of hack that Mercury retrograde energy, while Pluto's just going to obliterate everything. Excuse me, that doesn't work for you. I had jalapeno chips. I apologize. My water's across the table. But I'm so sorry, y'all. But I'm like, I love jalapeno chips. But man, I need something to drink. Give me a second. I am so sorry, y'all. I'm like, I need my water. The heat's just getting to me in my throat. But also, the reason I'm mentioning this too is because I need to look where Eris and Chiron are, and they're not that far away from Pluto in your chart. You know, literally, Gemini, they're in your 11th house, which we've been talking about. So this is like taking that energy that isn't working for you in your 11th house and bringing those things to you now. Also, I have here the Earth and Fire Dragon. This is what you're going to call in on week 3. This works with you to clear the 5th dimensional ley lines. Oh, okay, I know what we got to do. It's time for service. When you give, you receive. Okay, Gemini, so I don't know if you know what ley lines are. For those of you who do, congratulations, you're on the same page with me. Yay! For the people that don't, I must explain. I apologize. Ley lines are essentially, back in ancient times and even medieval times, you know how there are dowsing rods and pendulums? Well, pendulums and dowsing rods can find water, a source of water. It leads to water. That is one way of using them. It is still a spiritual tool of connection and communication and getting verified answers. But that is one way. But how they work is they can also pick up on ley lines. So the rods and the pendulums, they can definitely pick up on ley lines. And ley lines are known to be like basically they're connected to the earth and where energies can pop through. So, which positive energies can pop through. Downside is anything can pop through at that point. And so that is what can cause or create portals to come about, or vortexes, which when you have to deal with a nasty vortex on a rental property, believe me, it is a bitch to close. Because I have had to do that for a property cleanse. And that was very intense for me to do, but I have done that. And so ley lines play a very big factor into, I would not even just say housing, but wherever a house is placed. There can be, because I've also had to close portals in a residential home, several residential homes that I personally owned. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to ley lines, because like I said, anything can just pop through. It's like basically like if you don't have something set up to either make sure negative energies don't come through, what'll happen is it's like leaving your door unlocked and having burglars pop through. Spiritually, yeah. And I'm not saying this to freak anybody out, but the best thing is you have this earth and fire dragon coming through. You may have to do work with or research on ley lines and properties and how they work in your home. If you need to email me about that, please do. Because I know how to close them down. It depends on the property, but what you can do is there are a couple of things you can do right off the bat. Saging is great, but if you continue to sage and you keep getting negative energies, which is what was happening to me in one of my apartments and I couldn't figure it out, that did not stop until I closed down that ley line. And I didn't have a dragon guide back then to do it. Had I had one, that would have been a hell of a lot easier than me randomly figuring out how I'm going to do it. So you guys get to use this earth and fire dragon to help close the ley line down. Now it says, when you give, you receive. It is time for service. And clearing the fifth dimension, you can probably, and this is what I would suggest, you can actually use this fire and earth dragon to not only close down a ley line if it's on your property or causing problems, you can also ask it to probably go into the fifth dimension and clear it out, however far that ley line goes. That is a gift of service to spirit. That will actually help. It'll help boost your karma, but it's mainly because it's time for you to do it. Now, you may also have a gift spiritually where you're going to work with this dragon and develop something with ley lines. Either A, you're going to develop how to work with them. You're going to learn how they work. You're going to learn more about traveling realms, which for you, Gemini, is perfect because you're an air sign and you guys will travel. You actually may end up deciding to transverse dimensions, which is kind of hard to do, but you can do it if you know how to do it properly. And the best way to do it is through ley lines. Ley lines kind of act as like the gateway to something. Like if you've ever seen Harry Potter and they go through the fireplace, that is pretty much like what a ley line does in the spiritual world. But you have a dragon coming through, fire and earth, so it can control both elements. Fire for cleansing and purification, and creative fire for passion. And then you have the earth aspect where it can either be prosperous or you can just bury it and give it back to Mother Gaia for cleansing as well. And also building positive energies with it. So we do have this aspect, Gemini. Now, fire and earth dragons, there are a few combo dragons in here that are elementals. I love to work with them. They are very insightful and also super protective. This one especially. This one has divine feminine and divine masculine aspects to it. So it's going to have a very wise perspective and also be extremely helpful when it comes to the spiritual world. Now, like I said, you may have to deal with ley lines. But I also would say if it's not ley lines, there may be something like a water source that will lead you to one that will give you an answer as to why you're having to deal with so much spiritual riffraff around Mercury retrograde, which because of where Pluto is, we also need to think, and that in the Scorpio full moon energy, psychic energy, spiritual energy is going to run high. That's natural with, Scorpio anyway. Last card I have is Golden Christened Dragon. Now, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with this, but these dragons are pretty powerful. So It says, brings you higher love so that you can embody light. It says specifically Christ light, but I'm being mindful that I don't necessarily agree with that teaching, so we'll just say Piscean light. How about that? Spiritual light. We'll put that. Absorb the spiritual light. You are protected. Expand your heart and remain fifth dimensional. And again, we have another fifth dimensional dragon here. So that's 2 fifth dimensional dragons that you are being asked to work with in this upcoming month that are going to play a huge role. So this tells me, yeah, you're definitely transversing 3D to 5th dimension. If you've never transversed a timeline, I've done it in the physical reality as far as like timelines work a little bit different when it comes to manifestation. So when you transverse a timeline, you go from, let's say, 3D to 4, your life will virtually change for the better. And you'll be able to kind of see things as they're coming. You'll have intuitive insight. You'll be able to know, oh, what's right for you and what's not. The problem is when you go from one dimension and then you have to go back to another, which is what happened to me. So try to make sure if you're going to transverse timelines, you make the correct decisions that keep you in the 5th ray of dimensional light. And doing so, working with this spiritual Piscean energy will help you. Now, you do have, Gemini, you've got in your, hang on one second. In your, at least your 10th house, you have Jupiter and Pisces with Neptune and Pisces to keep you connected. This might also be why these 2 dragons are popping out, because one is Jupiter, one is Neptune. Trying to let you know, hey. Did you hear that? Oh my God, that's so funny. I swear, every time I always do right with these dragon readings, like the house starts to act funny in sense of like confirmation with noises. Like I'll randomly get confirming noises. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull from the Dragon Oracle deck. This is one of my favorite Oracle decks to use. And I'm going to pull to see how the Dragonfae, like what is their advice for you working with Mercury retrograde? What is it they have ideally for you? Show me, please. Clear the divine guidance. Ooh, 3, 4. Oh my God. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, I've worked with this one. We're not going to take this one. We're taking this one. Oh, the Wild Huntress showed up again. Oh my God. She showed up for someone else yesterday. Let me go ahead and go through this. So, Gemini, you first off have the Blue Lady. Nothing is impossible. Now, the Blue Lady is a card that I love to work with. She is the one when people tell you that you can't, or they're naysayers, and there's people that are supposedly for you. She shows up to show them that you can, and basically kind of makes them put up and shut the fuck up. Which is why I love working with her. Like, not to be like mean, but I've had so many people be like that with me about this business. And the funny part is every time they would come at me, she would just show how successful I was. And I didn't even have to be rude about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could just literally sit in my garden, quote unquote, of my tarot business, and it would just bloom on its own. And then it would make all those people eat their words and show them my success, and they would just get envious and quietly walk away. That's why I love working with the Blue Lady, because it doesn't come from a space of ego. It comes from all of the hard work you have put in. It comes from also the faith and belief that you have within yourself. So whatever you're working on, Gemini, I'm just letting you know the Blue Lady is helping, 1, to protect it, and 2, to nurture it. Now, that doesn't mean you totally give it to her and she does the work. You have to help her. But the point is she is there. She's being kind of a guardian for whatever you're working on. Now you have Wu Wang. Wild, Pure Heart. Now, I've actually read with this card another time. This has to do with embracing loving energies, peaceful energies. Like it says, coming from the heart space, but not only that, this is working with deities or fae, Dragonfae in particular, that deal with love and romance, as well as coming from open-hearted compassion, which is what's really going to help you to either A, figure out how to work with those ley lines, or B, it's also going to help with maybe what the ley lines need in terms of nurturing too. Because while you nurture yourself, and especially when you begin to work with your spiritual path, every time you nurture yourself, it shows up in no matter what you're working with in the 3D. So just be mindful. If it's the ley lines, great. If it's your job, it will still transverse. But you can also take that energy and use it towards anything spiritually you're working on developing. Now, lastly, I have the Wild Huntress card. Oh my God, I love working with this card. She is awesome as a Dragonfae because she helps you face your shadow, but she doesn't just help you face your shadows. She helps eradicate shadows in your environment in terms of like what you're working on. She helps with all of that. And the beauty of the Huntress is she's may come off as harsh, but she has a purpose. So when these energies that are, trying to mess with you, she'd be perfect to honestly combine with that fire earth dragon, that whatever it is that you're working on, or if you're doing ley line work. Oh yeah, I definitely call her in because she's not vicious in the sense of being vicious to be vicious. She is vicious in the sense of being a protector because she has to protect something. She has something to live for that she has to protect. And she eradicates negative energies. And it's almost like what people think is, sad that she has to be that way. It's a kindness. It's her nature. It's her way of being kind, of eradicating the negativity and the shadow that just wants to, be like alien, hunt, kill, procreate, and repeat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes, if anything, I would invoke her to get rid of the alien energy. I really would. Like, as far as, the movie Alien, like, how it is, that's the person you'd call in. You would call that energy in to help you because she's, like I said, the Huntress, but she's a Dragonfae. So she takes this fairy aspect and this dragon aspect and combines it together in a way that when she's done, she doesn't stay to linger. She just moves on to the next. It's like she's almost like a bounty hunter in a sense, but a bounty hunter specifically for dark forces. I love working with this energy because whenever she shows up, I know she has my back, 1, and 2. I also know that she not only has my back, I'm calling her in for a purpose. And she only, hunts down shadows that are very vicious with I would say an evil or misaligned purpose, and she'll go after them. So it's not like she's just dark to be dark, but that's why I love working with her, because sometimes when you can't tell, she'll be able to find it, she'll track it, she'll hunt that down, she'll reveal it to you, and then you'll know, oh, okay, this is what I need to look out for. Now, I'm going to pull from your Fae blessings because this is overall a blessing you can ask and invoke the fairies themselves to help you, or that you can use while Mercury is in retrograde. So let's see, show me my beautiful Sealy Court. What are the energies that you have for Gemini in terms of Fae blessings that are directional in their nature that they can use during Mercury retrograde? Show me, please. Clearest of divine guidance. Ooh. You got a fairy, a blessing. Oh my God, Gemini, you got a lot. Okay. You've got a blessing of stability, a blessing of time, and a blessing of fairy magic. So you've got 3 Fae blessings you can use as well. And you can ask and invoke the Fae through the goddess Freya to help you. And so a blessing of stability, they're going to help you bring in long-term stability now, and then help you develop, research, and work the kinks out during Mercury retrograde. If you can put off moving anything long term, please do so until after the retrograde, which is June 16th. Officially, Mercury comes out of Gemini. Now, if you can't, let's say something has to go on and you have to do it right now, just know it'll be short-stabled, but you can ask and invoke the Fae of blessing of stability to come in to help give you longevity of whatever it is you're working on. Okay, so you have that. Then you have a blessing of time. I have never worked with this card. We're going to look this up with the book next. I'm going to go ahead and explain a blessing of fairy magic. So this is my apex of magical energy card with the fairy blessings, because this is something that is going to help you all the way throughout, even past the full moon. But you must work with the full moon phases, Gemini, especially if you're going to, I would say, do anything like casting, spell work. Even when you work with the Mother Isis, if you join me on Patreon and you do this, you can still ask and invoke them, because she's going to help Mother Isis and those past, those spell works, incantations and whatnot that I give, even the substitutes that I give. She'll help ground down whatever it is that got pulled for you, and then they will be able to act it out even stronger in the 3D, so that it will like magically amplify. But even if you don't join me on Patreon, you still have going for you this magical ability to just ask the Fae and blessing of fairy magic to tap into whatever it is you're trying to cast. Now, given the Fae are positive and negative, so I asked the Seelie Court. So the Seelie Court are specifically for love life fairies. So this is where you're going to ask and invoke them to come in and help you in your castings on whatever it is you're trying to work on. Even, honestly, with closing down the ley line, with bringing in your soul family, they can do that for you. As you cast, if you do spell work. You also have this to help you in your everyday 3D life too, but don't expect them to like be able to give you big miracles, because these are blessings. They're already there. So this is what's already kind of divinely set for you, right? But I'm sure you can ask them to help manifest something to help you with getting your miracle. Now that's the awesome part of that. So let me go ahead and get the book for A Blessing of Time. Really, guys? Y'all gonna mess with my hair right now when I'm off camera? I felt it stand up like all the way on its end. I must be hitting some nerve accurately. Okay, A Blessing of Time. Card, let's see, 29. Oh, here we go. This is the fairy gift of expansive time, sufficient to do all that is needed, full enough to experience all joy. Oh, so this is kind of like this. Okay, this is what the fifth dimension's about too, about accessing time. And it's not just about the Akashic records. And when it plays out in the 3D, it's about having time to basically do everything that you want, like your chores, and then some. Okay, then you have time to relax, and it doesn't feel like the day has just gone by. It just feels like a day where you've been able to do both. So this is a fairy being. And for us all, in truth, times move in cycles and patterns that are inherent in nature and the cosmos. When you receive this gift of fairy time, you too will slow down, and yet you will be able to do more and easily. For the stress of the human clock hours will fall away. You will smooth navigate the time available to you and the pressure of what must be done, and when will be solved by time expanding in amazing ways. For fairies have this gift of time, bending and shaping, and they offer it to you now, fairy friend. They offer you this ability to be able to sit within the expanded hour, knowing that there is a sufficient time for you to do what is to be done. For you may focus more on what is most precious for you to do, most worthy of your thoughts and energies, and you will know all will flow. When this fairy blessing comes to you, there will be a flowing quality in the days, a sense that all is unfolding and that all is well in meaningful ways. You have opened up more, and in healthy, meaningful ways. You will find the time to care for your own self and share with time to celebrate and to love. And all that has troubled you and pressured you will come more easily to you now. With this gift, when used well, you can complete beloved projects, spend your days doing what you love, and have nights filled with company and love and peaceful solitude and rest. Let the fairy gift of expansive, supportive, and magical time be yours, friend, and feel the gift uplift you and give you the freedom of hours to belong to you. Blessings of fairy time to you, friend. That's all I have for you, Gemini. If you would like to join me on Patreon, please do so. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to leave me a tip or book me for an emergency session, please do so down in the description box below. We'll meet again in June, Gemini. Bye. Happy early birthday.